Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Work Unleashed Live. I'm your host, Dan O'Leary. This is Work Unleashed Live. We are totally live. It is January of 2021, January 29, 2021. We are live. This is Work Unleashed Live. You're here with us. That's awesome. So excited you could be here with us today. We have some amazing things planned for the next 29 and a half minutes for Work Unleashed Live today. If you're joining us live, by the way, on LinkedIn, hi, good morning. Nice to see you. Good afternoon. Let us know, where are you joining us from? What are you doing? Who are you to the Box world? Are you a long-term Box customer, partner? Or are you just learning how to spell Box for the first time? Let us know. Say hi. We can actually see all your questions, see all your stuff. We're so excited to have you joining us today. The purpose of this session, why we do this, is to bring experts, people who are building the future of work, to share some of their insights, share some of their learnings, to help you understand how folks just like you are getting work done today in all these fun and exciting times that we're lucky enough to live in. And today, our topic is super awesome. We're going to be talking about business process automation, talking about how to leverage Box to get work, structured work, automated processes done. And to do that, I have one of my favorite colleagues joining us today. His name is Tyler Kratzer. Tyler is an implementation consultant on our Box consulting team. Tyler, are you ready to join us? How are you doing today?
Hey, Dan, I'm doing well. Happy Friday.
Heck yes, it is. And Tyler, I love the background, man. Where are you joining us from today? What is going on?
Yeah, it's a rental. I'm actually in Los Angeles right now, just enjoying my time for the winter months here for another week. But typically, I'm in New York.
Okay, I think you've made a really good choice for January weather. As a former Los Angeles resident, there's nothing better than an 80-degree January day.
Yeah,
and I love this. This is like a very YouTube, Twitch background in the kitchen. I feel like we're gonna have a DIY show here. This feels
it's very intimate. I'm welcoming you into my life. It is a little
cloudy. Yeah, I was gonna ask you to pull something out of your fridge or something, but I'm not gonna do that. We have a lot of important things to cover today on Work Unleashed Live. Tyler, what for those of you who don't know who Box Consulting is, or what an implementation consultant does, or what business process automation is, what do you do at Box? Like, what keeps you busy most days? Who are you helping out? What does your day look like?
Yeah, so again, I'm an implementation consultant here at Box. I've worked at Box for almost 2 years now. Day to day is working with a bunch of clients, from super small clients to very, very large enterprise-wide clients, and I'm working with them to one of two things: either get them up and running on Box, onboard their new users if they're a new Box customer, set it up specifically to work for their use cases, or to optimize current customers' accounts. So some of our more large strategic customers, if they are looking to automate processes, perhaps they'd loop me in to help them build out those workflows to make their Box environment best suited for their end users and for their specific use cases.
Totally digging it. And I love how you showed how all those things lead into automating processes. And personally, I like to automate tasks and think about, anything I do more than 3 or 4 times a week. Nerds, like what can I do to automate that so I don't have to do it again next time? Totally normal. As you think about process automation, how are you helping customers think about like why they should do this? I mean, if you've learned to live with really bad workflows, why automate it now? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of the times, I think these conversations start from something happening or something being missed. So as you mentioned, a lot of these processes that companies have been using for years are a little antiquated and outdated, and they're fragmented and spread across email and chat and whatever it may be. And sometime or somehow, somewhere, that process was interrupted, or someone missed a deadline or something like that. And then they're coming to us and saying, all of our content is stored on Box. How can you help us automate this and bring visibility into it so this mistake doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea of centralizing your content and centralizing your process automation. Obviously going to help customers save a lot of time, a lot of wasted energy and duplicate efforts. For customers or for folks maybe that aren't using Box, love to help you with that, by the way. For folks who have not automated any processes so far, how has that looked like outside of Box? Like, what is life like before you automate it? Or maybe if you are using Box, if you've not, brought in something like Box Relay, which we're going to talk about, what is life before they meet you, Tyler? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, just from past experiences in my previous job, everything we did was not automated. So we were working out of email, we were working out of chat, whether it be through email chat or another collaboration tool. And it's difficult because you're writing yourself reminders like follow up with this person in 1 week from today because I sent that email, and it's just not really efficient. So outside of Box, we see it a lot of the times just being done via email, whether that's sending contracts back and forth for approval or to collaborate on them offline just by downloading the file after it's been sent to you on email or sent to you on chat. And there's not really a tracking or editing functionality to that. Also, you can imagine that there is tens of different documents that are actually the same document, but different versions of that document floating around via email. And it gets just really confusing and hard to manage. So outside of Box, I would say mainly we see that being done in email or over chat, or even just in person at the office. When we used to be in the office, just going at people's desks and getting things done. But again, there's no insight into what step of the process that's in. We don't know if someone's read that email. We don't know if Dan, if I went up to your desk, I don't remember, or you're not going to remember if I came up to you and perhaps the process is getting stalled. It's taking longer than it should, and ultimately it's costing the customer some money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and even things that we have in Box like tasks and comments, which some of our power users do use instead of those things, they're only as helpful as the repeatability of those processes. And I know today we're going to be talking a little bit about Box Relay, Tyler, one of your favorites. For those customers who don't know about Box Relay, is this just like something you do? Like, are you going to take an actual box and run around your house? Like, how would you define or describe Box Relay to someone who's new to Box or has not heard about this product before? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's not the typical Olympic relay that you're thinking of. Box Relay is a business automation tool that's built directly into the Box platform. It's a no-code tool, so it's really, really simple for users to actually build these processes out themselves. Where in the past you might have had to loop in IT to build out an automation workflow for you. It's pulled up right directly into the Box platform. The build is actually very, very clean. You can simply just click on whatever you're looking to do, and it's going to direct you and teach you how to actually input that automation. And you can think of Relay as if this happens, then this is the outcome. So it's built off of a series of triggers and outputs. Triggers being if you interact on content, click on something, move a file, upload a file, that could automatically kickstart this workflow process for you. And then on top of that,
and as someone who's used it before, you don't have to be. You mentioned not needing ID. Like if you know how to build a shortcut on your phone, or you've built a rule in Gmail, you probably are ready to build a relay. It's quite easy. And Tyler, are there specific types of like triggers or things that most customers use? Like what kicks off a relay or what kicks off a workflow? Like how do you know that a process is happening and could be automated?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different options within Box Relay itself. So it's built off of 6 main triggers. Those being file events, so that could be uploading a file to a folder, moving a file, copying a file. Folder events, so that could be creating a folder, moving a folder, renaming a folder. That could trigger a workflow. File request, so that would be if you are requesting information from an external vendor or something. Whenever they would upload that document to your request link, that could automatically kick off a flow. Updating the metadata attributes of a file, if you're using metadata, which is an advanced feature set within Box, that could start workflows, or you can manually start them yourself even. So you could actually just go to a document if you've designed it this way, click start workflow, and that begins the process itself.
That's super cool. So all the most common things that people are going to do in Box: add a file, move a file, change information about it, change information about the folder it's in, even clicking on something saying, I'm ready to start this. And as you noted, that file request, being able to actually engage people outside of your organization in workflows or in process automation sounds super cool. But I realize that like talking about this is probably not as fun as showing it. So Tyler, I understand that you are ready to show us a little bit about Box Relay. Can you, now that we've gotten that high level overview, can you show us what this looks like? I'm super excited to see this, by the way. I heard you were the best Relay demoer, so let's do this, man.
Don't say that. No,
Oh yeah,
I love
throwing
Relay.
it down. Okay. What do you got for me, Tyler?
Let's hop into the screen share here. Can you see my screen, Dan?
Oh, yes, there it is. Okay, perfect.
Cool. So upon logging into Box, you typically see your all files page. You can see that I've selected the Relay tab here. So whenever you are a user ready to start building automations, or you're interested in building automations on the content that you have access to, you would click on the Relay tab. So this tab, being new to users, could be a little overwhelming. But if you don't know where to start with an automation process, no worries. Box has pre-built 20 or so generic templates around multiple use cases. So legal, marketing, HR, business operations, sales, and finance. And you can actually click into one of these pre-built templates, and it's going to pull up a pre-built workflow for you to give you some ideas on how you could actually go about using the tool. So that's a super cool feature. And then
Awesome.
also on top of that,
I'm sure most people have not used Box to do patent review, but you have, Tyler, and you've built it as a template. So that's super useful.
Yeah, totally. And these, again, are pretty basic use cases, and they're very small. But you can expand on these, make these templates have 20 plus outputs. So they can actually become very, very complex, or they can be super simple automations as well.
Love it. Okay, so what if I don't have a pre-built template to use? What does that look like?
Yeah, so if you don't have a pre-built template to use, and just one more thing on the templates, outside of the generic templates that Box has already provided for you, your company actually has the ability to create custom templates that are specific to your organization. So if there are any power users within an organization that have intimate knowledge of processes that are happening throughout your organization, they can create a custom template and publish it to your gallery, which would then be visible by anyone in the organization to actually use that template and start automating their content processes.
I love that too, because we hear often about organizations that have like branch offices, and they'll have a new, intake form for a customer, but each branch routes it in a slightly different way to a different person. But if you could build it once and then ship it to 100, and then all they have to do is just change one step, it makes it so much easier than having to build 100 new workflows. That's super cool. That's
exactly.
Great to hear.
It's very, very powerful.
How do you create that in the first place? How does that get put in here?
Yeah. So if you already know what you're doing, you don't need to use the templates. You're ready to dive into the automation itself. You click on the new workflow button right here at the top, and that's going to bring you to a workflow build page. So I've already built a workflow. So I'm just going to click into what I've pre-built, and we can just see what it would look like if you were ready to start building that workflow.
Let's see this. It looks super cool. All right, what do we got?
So a screen like this would pop up. Typically, again, it would be blank, but I've already pre-built this. This is a very generic contracts approval workflow. It's to sort of just set the tone of what this workflow is so everyone can understand. Let's imagine that you work in sales at a multinational organization called Encreo. And on a day-to-day basis, you are sending out contracts to vendors from all over the world, and you need to get those contracts routed and approved by your legal team prior to sending them out. In the past, you've been doing this over email, which, as we mentioned earlier, can be just a little frustrating, not knowing if the legal representative has actually read your contract. Maybe they've forgotten about it. Maybe you've forgotten about it. If edits need to be made, there's multiple contracts floating around in that email. It can just get really confusing. So in this specific example, this Encreo AE, we'll say it's me in this instance, I've decided to use Relay to automate this process. So
Tyler. Well done.
Yeah, great choice. So I've gone into this build. It's just going to be a simple process of me automatically routing these contracts for approval to the legal team. And to trigger this workflow, I've decided to do a manual start. So I mentioned this earlier, which means this is you locating the contract in whichever folder it's living in and actually clicking start workflow from the contract itself. And that's going to actually kick off that workflow process.
Got it. So if I've been working on that contract out of Box Drive, and because no one ever does that, rather than the approved proper contracts folder or my super secret personal folder, I can still start that workflow from there. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly. Yep.
Wow. Okay. All right. Tell me more. Now what happens?
Okay. So in this instance, the contracts that I'm talking about are going to live in a contracts folder. And then within that contracts need approved folder that you're seeing here, there's going to be subfolders for whatever region that you're actually working out of, whether it's North America, South America, APAC, EMEA. And you can actually cascade these workflows down into the subfolder. So you don't have to recreate a workflow and apply it to each individual folder. So we're applying it at that root contracts needs approved folder, and it's automatically going to apply to the North America folder, South America folder, APAC folder, and EMEA folder. So that's super cool as well. Once that workflow kicks off by that manual start process, that first outcome is going to be an approval to a task that's going to be sent to the legal representative from whatever region I'm working out of. So since that could change, it's a dynamic factor, whether you're working out of North America, South America, etc. I've decided to make this assignee specify when started. So this means when I actually kick that workflow off, it's going to prompt me to input who I want to send this task to. So in this instance, I would choose the North America sales rep, or sorry, the North America legal contact. And then this message is going to pre-populate. It's going to send to that legal representative via a task notification inbox and over email. So if the legal rep isn't actually working out a box that day, they'll be email notified. It'll take them directly to the contract inbox. You can then choose to set automated timing reminders. So you can actually streamline the process and make sure that you are on track and working within the designated time frame that you need to be working out of. And Box is automatically going to send you reminders if you haven't completed this. So if you haven't completed this contract review the day before it's due, Box will automatically send you an email reminder and a task reminder in Box. And then the day it's due, they'll send you another one. And then every single day that it's past due, you will also be getting email reminders. So it's really keeping you on track.
This is so much easier than having to email people every day. Normally, the way I've been doing it, right? Just compose per my last email. What I'm hearing is Box does this for me. Per my last email is now a workflow step. Is this true?
Exactly. Yeah, it's amazing.
Mind blown, y'all. This is amazing. Okay.
So, if everything's well, you'd approve that task, obviously, and the workflow would end, it'd be completed. But say there needs to be edits. You could reject that task. It's automatic, and I've designed this to automatically send another task back to the person who started the workflow, so the account executive in this instance, letting them know that the legal team has rejected it and there needs to be edits. That AE could then open the document directly in Box and update it according to whatever the legal contact had said. And it's going to save that document back as a version 2 and keeping that whole file version history with the document, which is super, super cool. After it's been approved, it's going to move that file out of the needs approved folder and automatically move it to an approved folder. And then lastly, the workflow will complete with a notification being sent to the account executive who started the workflow, letting them know that that contract has been approved by legal and it's ready to be sent to the vendor.
That's awesome. And then at that point, it's already in Box. Just right click on it, send it, with DocuSign, Adobe Sign, name of your favorite signature tool. But that process before would have been absolutely terrible. It feels like, there's never a contract that doesn't need to get changed. So I love that you showed the review process there and even the build process here. You don't need to be an IT manager to do this. I feel like a line of business user would be, if they wanted to, could easily build this on behalf of their team, which is super cool. Okay, so now
absolutely.
Now what happens? Okay, so you built this. How does this all? Can I see how it works?
Yeah, let's show you how it works.
Okay.
So here's the folder tree I've built for this use case. So again, we saw that I actually applied that workflow to the contracts needs approved folder, and it's cascading down to these subfolders beneath it. So that workflow is running in all 4 of these folders. So any document within these folders, you would be able to actually trigger that workflow and start the process. So I'm an AE for Increo working out of North America. And I'm working with vendor B, and I need this contract approved by legal. So all I need to do is locate the contract or upload the contract to this North America folder, click on the More Options button, start that workflow, and a screen is going to pop up with every step involved with the workflow, so you can review it. If maybe you weren't actually the one who built the workflow, you can actually see the steps that are involved. And you can see here that I am prompted to assign that legal representative who needs to be reviewing this document. So I'll click in here and I'm in the North America folder. I need to assign that legal North America contact. So I'll search for the contact. There we go. Press save. So now it's automatically going to send all of the emails and notifications and tasks to that contact. And I'm going to press start, which is going to kick off that process. So in the background, automatically what's happening right now is an email is being sent to that legal rep and a task is being sent to you in Box. So you can see up here in the right-hand corner, I've got a notification in my taskbar. I can click into it. Looks like I have a vendor B expansion contract I need to take a look at.
And you don't have
It's
to
gonna
write
take
that
you.
email. You know, I mean, like
No.
you
Yeah.
clicked one button, you typed one thing, and you've taken a business process that would have been horribly confusing at best. It just worked. Like I cannot believe this right now. Okay, wow. All right, tell me more. What do we
Yeah,
got
pretty
here?
cool. So, let's look over the contract. From a first glance, everything looks good. So I can review okay, yep, click approve. So I'm going to click approve. And then you'll notice that this contract is no longer in this needs approved folder for North America.
Where did it go? It's gone. Where did it go, Tyler?
Yeah, great question. It's automatically moved that to an approved folder right here.
Oh my gosh.
So
you didn't do that. This is what Relay did. So this is it moved itself basically.
Exactly. It moved itself based off of that background setup we configured in that build.
Yeah.
Super cool.
That's it. Okay.
That's it.
That's on contract. Oh man.
So there's one more cool thing.
Would automate again.
So that's not even the coolest part. The coolest part is you actually have full visibility into where these workflows are at any given time. So as the owner of the workflow that I just created, I can actually see where that workflow is. If it's being held up, I can nudge people. All of this is fully trackable and auditable if you just click on the Relay workflow itself. So I'll go back to that Relay tab. I'll locate the workflow in question. And if I click on that tracking tab here, it's going to pull tracking for every single time you run a workflow relating to that specific workflow. So this is the one I've just done, the 9:50 a.m. one. Let's go ahead and view the activity of it. You can see the status here. It's saying complete. If it was in progress, it'd be yellow. If it was stalled, it would be red. And this activity report is going to pop up. It shows you date and timestamps of when each task or action was completed. It shows you who was involved. So I have the assignees there. And then you can always export this into an Excel document, fully auditable. It meets the compliance requirements for enterprise grade software. So, prior when you were doing this over email, you would have no idea what step it's at. Now you actually have that full visibility here.
That's amazing. I mean, just being able to see this dashboard at a glance of where is everything that's in process, where is it? And it's so simple. You didn't have to, look at another screen, look at another tool. This is exactly, I think, what you would expect your work should look like. And there's just no way to do this if you're transacting via email or chat or the traditional means that we use to move information around all of our systems. This is super cool, Tyler. And I think one thing that, is this same file could then be shared into your CRM like Salesforce. You could then Slack this and, build additional automation here. But this one file can go many other places in your infrastructure or in all the other platforms you use without ever really needing to leave Box, which is another huge advantage versus a traditional system where you'd have to route this all around and actually move the file versus just, pointing to it in other systems and processes.
Exactly, Dan. You're a Box expert. You know exactly.
I've heard that. I've still got it, baby. All right. I promise. I know how to spell Box today too. Tyler, you had me at this contracts use case. This one's super cool. Are there any other key use cases that you've helped customers implement or that you just know are slam dunk? So for, I see Kate out there. I see Ruchi. Also, thanks for joining us today. We're live, by the way. That's how I know you're here. It's amazing how we know these things. Say what's up to us if you'd like to. But Tyler, as you've done this with other customers, are there any other key use cases that you've really been able to zoom in on that you recommend, that you love, that other folks like Gene and Ruchi should be looking at today? What do you recommend?
Sorry, my screen was quite dark there. It's about to rain in LA.
You're beautiful. I love this. You light up my life now and the screen. Look at this. You're looking so good. All right, Tyler.
So yeah, Box Relay is great for two primary use cases. So it's going to be onboarding and offboarding. So that can be onboarding or offboarding users on Box or vendors, project folders, stuff like that, or approval workflows. So contract approval, as we just saw, marketing asset approval, quarterly business reviews, anything like that that needs people's eyes on it and actually an approve or reject, or just simply acknowledging that they saw that is great to work out of Relay. To kind of circle back on the on and offboarding, since we didn't actually see a little demo on that, what you can do is if you ever created a new user folder or something like that for a new employee, that folder could be created, and then with a Relay workflow, you could automatically create the subfolders within that folder. So you could set the workflow to say, Tyler Kratzer is a new employee at Box. I've created this new employee folder, and via the Relay workflow that I've built in the background, there's going to be 5 subfolders created within that folder, and it's going to pull documents from wherever in Box and automatically populate that into the folder. So upon me logging into Box on the first day, I have that fully populated new hire folder, but no one actually had to build that folder. It automatically did it itself.
I mean, if I had $1 for every time I've typed a employee subfolder structure out, I would have about $37. So like that's probably something I would automate. And I imagine, I'm hiring not, hundreds of thousands of people, but man, at any scale, that's going to be incredible.
Imagine the scaling of that as well. So if you are a large customer, that's a ton of time out of your HR users' days, provisioning these new users over and over. So the scalability of this product is I think one of the main selling points of it.
Well, you're giving me an idea too, that it's not just employee onboarding or offboarding, right? But it's also things that happen in your supply chain, vendor onboarding, customer onboarding, and then compliance with those processes, especially for things like vendor onboarding, something I do often, gathering security documentation or ensuring things are up to date, or that entire process. I will use a ton of paperwork that goes into vendor onboarding, as some of you know very well. That seems like another great one to optimize as well. Other than onboarding, Tyler, are there any other key use cases that you recommend or ones that you like to talk to our customers about?
Yeah, again, I would say the main ones I talk to customers about are onboarding, offboarding, and then the approval processes. But with the approval processes, it's really, really key for regulated industries. So if you're needing to be FINRA compliant or anything like that, I work with large FinServ customers, and they needed to move these automation processes to Box because they need to meet certain compliance standards that weren't being met via email. And that's all accomplished when you work out of Box.
That's great. And for end users too, I think, we talked a little bit about email notifications. There's a lot of habit change. And on Work Unleashed, we've had a number of folks come and talk about change management and how to communicate these changes. But by sending those email notifications, you kind of meet people where they're at. They can, do a lot of their work as they probably used to, and then drive a lot of that through Box. So it's kind of a really good balance, I think, to me, of how do you balance the end user need or someone's just desire to do this work simply and reliably, and then also the benefits that come from having it centralized. So IT and compliance are happy, the end user's happy. Tyler, looks like you're happy.
Yeah, it makes my job easier when everyone stuff's automated. It's amazing.
I love this. I mean, that's a good follow-up for you, but are there any processes or things that people shouldn't automate? Because we've talked about onboarding, we've talked about review processes. Are there things that when you meet with our customers and are actually deploying this as an expert, are there things that you're like, maybe not this one? Where do you draw the line on things that should not be automated?
Yeah, it's the things that are not repeatable. So if you're not doing something multiple times a week, I think adding automation to it actually creates more of a struggle. It's creating more of a process for something that perhaps doesn't need the process. But if it is a repeatable task that's happening over and over on a week-by-week basis, definitely automate that. Let's get a process to it, and let's save your employees some time to open them up to do other things.
I love that. Yeah, one of my things is the rule of 3. If I see a business process 3 times in a short enough time that I remember it, or if it was particularly painful, those are often the types of things that I will look to automate. And then I think one other tip, Tyler, I don't know if I learned this from you or one of our amazing other Box consulting or customer success leads, but it's, these business processes and business process automation, the automation requires an understanding of the business process. So sometimes it just starts with kind of writing down the steps, thinking about what the process actually looks like. So before you automate it, document it, get some Post-it notes out, get a piece of paper out. Everyone's working from home. Sure, there's a lot of crayons and markers around. Try that. Good arts and crafts projects.
Yeah, or better yet, work out of a Box note. Let's document that in the Box note directly in the folder, and let's use that as a jumping off point to actually build that workflow out.
Of course you put it in a Box note. Of course you would, Tyler. I should have known. You're such a great Boxer. I love it. Tyler, tell me a little bit more too. So for people who've not had a chance to use Relay, is this going to be in their account? How do they get started just building like a one-step workflow? What's the hello world 0 to 1 get started process look like for them?
Yeah, so what I was showing you was Relay, an add-on product, meaning that that's a more comprehensive automation tool available to all of our business users if you have an enterprise account, or it's Relay Lite. So it's the same thing that you saw, just with less triggers and outputs. So you can still get a feel for how the product works and create some pretty simple workflows to get a better feel and actually start building out automations for the content that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. So that relay tab that I showed you should be available in your Box accounts. If you just click on it, you can simply start creating pretty generic workflows that also can actually become pretty complex, given that you're typically not automating the process. So they can just simply click into Relay Lite, and if they would like more information or any guidance, obviously reach out to Box Consulting, and we can point you in the right direction and build out more complex workflows for you.
Yes, and I appreciate that, Tyler. Tyler, before we throw up a slide where folks can learn more about how to work with you, how to embark on this journey on their own, any final words of wisdom or closing thoughts for folks who are embarking on their journey of business process automation, or perhaps they've learned to live with busted, suboptimal, crappy business processes? Like, help me feel some inspiration for why I should do this now. What's your words of wisdom for people who are thinking about automating their business processes?
Yeah, words of wisdom. If you're annoyed with the process, if you're doing something on a day-to-day basis and you're like, this is so outdated, you need to automate that. I've never found something that I can't automate. I'm automating stuff every single day, and it saves you so much time to do other things. I can do this interview right now with you because I'm in the background. I have all this automation stuff happening with my other projects that
I knew it. I thought we had cloned you, but in reality, you're well automated.
Exactly. I'm an automated consultant here at Box.
I love this. Also, guys, for our audience today, the challenge has been thrown down by Tyler. I've never met a business process I couldn't automate. I know some of you have like horrible ERP processes that you're like, I got one for him. So just be careful what you wish for, Tyler. We may make that happen for you, man.
Send them my way. Send them my way. I'll figure it out for him.
Oh, you bet. Well, let's show them how to do that. Tyler, thank you so much. This was great, by the way. We'll chat soon, buddy. I appreciate that. All right, Brian, can I please see this beautiful slide at the end? This was great. I love automating business processes anyways. So if you would like to take Tyler up on his challenge, and I encourage you to do that, by the way. It seems pretty confident. Never met a business process I couldn't automate. Game on, buddy. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to box.com. On that website, you go to customer-success/box-consulting. Google Box Consulting. You'll probably find the same page. Plug that in your browser. I was one of the founders of the Box Consulting team, near and dear to my heart. Incredible group of people, just like Tyler, who are going to be here to guide you on your journey of business process automation, help you get the most value out of Box using great tools like Box Relay. Many of you, by the way, already own this. It's just sitting there. It's a solution waiting for a problem. It's waiting for your business process. And these are the folks who are going to help you do that. So as we wrap up today, I've been Dan O'Leary. You've been you. This has been Work Unleashed Live, totally live. If you'd like to learn more about everything we covered today, again, just go to the website box.com. And if not, we will see you back very soon for another episode of Work Unleashed Live. Thank you so much, everyone. See you soon.